Hey guys, welcome back to SRT Learning, and this is Ankit Prajapati, and we have covered almost couple of questions on API and we are going good. We are targeting to create at least 15 questions on APIs. So those are the commonly, like these are the questions we get from the person who face the real interviews, and they give us a feedback, and based on that we prepare our interview questions list. And you can just go through this list if you are preparing for the automation manual as well, because in manual test as well they will ask API related question. Okay, so let's see what we are going to cover today in this API testing related questions. So yeah, how do you handle the OAuth 2.0 in your API test? Okay, so maybe they can ask you what is auth 2.0 as well in your interview questions, but in this particular question the candidate was like around 7 years of experience, and they asked her about how do you handle rather than what is auth, because it will be basic for the 7+ year of experience. So how do you handle these things? So now to handle the OAuth 2.0, it's very tricky process, I will just say, and it is very important for you to understand the logic and how the step by step with the syntax it's gonna be handled. So let's see. The first things you need to understand how the OAuth 2.0 flow. Okay, so OAuth 2.0 has server flow depending on the type of client that you use. Okay, so commonly the client credential flow, where you need to pass the client credential for machine to machine communication. Then authorization code flow for user based authentication. Then password grant and implicit flow, these both are the deprecated as of now. So most of the time you will see this client credential flow and the authorization code flow, where the client credential you need to pass the user key and secret key. I will show you how it will look like because we covered the syntax as well. So first things you need to understand the flow of the OAuth and how it's going to be work in API automation. Most of you see client credential is most of the commonly used nowadays, so you will find client credential always there. So let's see how we can do that. So first you need to obtain the access token from the client credential. So to make the authentication of API call, you first need a token. So to retrieve that token, what you need to do, you need to first make a post call to the generate token API by passing your client credential. Understand? To obtain a access token, what you need to do, you need to first make a post call to generate token API with your client credential, and then it will generate the token for you, and then you can use that token on your other normal API for the CRUD operation. So let's see. Yeah, so the request to generate a token will be look like similar in most of the project I have seen. It may be the endpoint is little bit different, like instead of like OAuth slash token, it can be instead of token it can be the generate token or access token or something like that way, and it will be always a post call. Then this is the host, on which host application you are trying to access. Then this is the content type, this is the request, and then you need to say grant type. You see grant type will be client credential, client ID will be your client ID, and client secret will be your client secret code. This must be asked. This information will be provided by your infrastructure team. When you, let's suppose I am a new QA, okay, I want my client ID and client credential, I will request with them, and kind of a username and a password kind of thing stuffs they will give you, and you can use that client ID and client secret throughout your API testing and to generate the token. And grant type would be always client credentials. These three things you need to remember, guys. Okay, if you remember, they might be ask you, can you write a syntax of request? So you need to remember these three things: grant type, client ID, and client secret you pass in a post call to generate the API, to generate the token. Now you see, in a response it will give you these kind of things: access token, access underscore token, and the random string for you as a token. Then token type, it's a barrier token, and expiry, this is the second. It's depend on the implementation, this can be the second, or this can be the, sometimes they give you the 2 minute or something like that, but this is the second. Like after 3600 second it will get expired, so you need to generate the new token. Okay, because for the security purpose. So first understand the flow, then obtain that access token by request and response, and once you will have access token, then use that access token in your API call. So let's suppose I want to get a list of users, so API users for this host, authorization I can just use barrier token this is video token, and I can pass the token over here. Okay, so use this is actually API call. This is the get call for the list of user. This is the generate token one API call, but this is the real APIs, okay, for the product or application related stuffs. Now, how you can do in the automation? Okay, let's suppose you are working with the rest assure. How you can do it in an automation? Okay, so you just simply go and create one string variable to store the token. So string token, then given, content type, then form parameters, grant type. These are the three information we can pass as a form parameter. Okay, so form parameter, grant type, client credential, form parameter, client ID will be your ID, form parameter, client secret will be your secret. Then when it post to this token, you see this generate token EP OAuth send token, then extract and dot path access token. So whatever the information will contain in extract dot path access token, it will store into this token variable, string variable, and then you can use this token string variable in, you see this is the first part, this is the second part, where you can use this given dot auth dot OAuth2 and token. You pass the token over here, and then you can make a get call and validate the response code or anything that you want to validate. So first generate the token like this way. In automation they might be ask you this syntax as well as experienced person. So always remember this syntax, guys. It is very much useful to answer in an interview. And what is the flow of the authentication token? Most of the API will be related with the client credential. Okay, and in client credential the grant type will be client underscore credential, which contain client ID and the client secret. And after all of this, you need to understand the token expiry handling, how the token has been expired. So always check if the token is expired before running your actual test cases. Okay, if it is expired, then you need to generate the new token and pass the new token, then you can run your test case. But if you implement like this way in your automation code, you don't need to worry. Every time it will generate the new token, and it will automatically pass that string variable, the token, to your API. Optionally, you can cache the token during a test run to save your time, and it will, and only refresh the token when it's required. Do not keep generating the new token, because it may be the some limitation that has been set to generate the token, or generate the token per minute or per hour, something like that way. Okay, so this is the way you can handle the OAuth 2.0 in API test. So the key point will be client credential, and this is the few things you need to understand as a part of syntax. So if you like this video, please share to your colleagues so they can remember these things in one page, and they can take a screenshot to perform good in an interview as well. Okay guys.